On April 27, 2017, police responded to an active shooting at the American Legion bar. When they got there, they found a 30-year-old barely clinging to life.
He's not good. He's bleeding.
Unfortunately, he died before he could say a word, leaving behind a mystery.
We're down another strong black man.
But the night was far from over.
Hey, when you guys broke away, we got more shots fired.
Another shooting followed a few miles away. No witnesses, no suspects, but detectives found one lead that would change everything.
Your camera, is it broken?
Yeah, it worked.
Okay.
Just when the killer thought he'd gotten away with the crime, an unexpected recording would change everything.
Yeah, that's the guy that shot at me.
When the 911 call rang out just after 2 a.m. on April 27, 2017, investigators couldn't have predicted the long and twisted night ahead.
Evansville 911.
Shots are being fired at the Legion Bar right now.
Where at?
The Legion Bar,
Which one?
Chipnet.
Did you see who did it?
No, there's too many people. People are running back and forth. There's like several shots just going off, so
How many shots did you hear?
it's about 6.
The officers were dispatched to the 4900 block of Nichols Crossing Road in southeast Austin. While it's not uncommon for shootings to occur in this area, the level of chaos at this crime scene was unexpected.
Car for shot fired.
Dispatcher at 2739.
Did somebody get hit?
I don't know where the shoot came from. They got shot.
And you got shut it down.
Just don't move. Calm down. We need an ambulance.
Did anybody see anything?
No, who is that? We need an ambulance.
Okay. We got one coming.
Shot by the road was Anthony Blaylock, struggling to stay alive. Around him were panicked people running in different directions. The bar manager was trying to aid Anthony.
Anybody see anything?
I heard it just when I came out. I heard people trying to burn me down there. I couldn't let nobody in there. You got one right here, one on the far side.
All right.
You got one right here.
He's not good. You got your son back, okay? He's bleeding.
With every passing moment, it was becoming a race against time. Realizing the severity of the situation, officers immediately called in for backup and help.
Legion is an insider out. We can fix it. Do what you want to go ahead and start firing.
He's going on outside. Send me more cars.
The size of the crowd suggested that the night had been exceptional, an event or a dance party. Given the panicked crowd, officers wasted no time securing the area to preserve evidence.
Definitely, I'm need somebody to find some tape. Definitely take around here. Just I thought it was going to go. I'm just going to go around the tree.
Police Department, vacate the area. Property is closed.
Guys, if you didn't see what happened, go. Please, please go. Try and get him so he's on his side more. Other position. Do you have any injuries on his extremities right now? He's got some shoes.
One on each side.
We can't feel a heartbeat, I think. He said he's shallow. I think he's fairly loud.
Masked in the panicked crowd could have been threats and witnesses. Officers kept their eyes peeled as they tended to Anthony. Nearby, they found 6 shell casings, which confirmed the accounts of the reports of multiple shots. At this time, the officers could think of 2 possibilities. Anthony was the intended target, or the shooter was about to open fire at the crowd.
My friend's supposed to be over here, and I was going to take her to the hospital.
Okay.
I don't know where she went.
Okay, she might have already went to the hospital, but...
But I'm saying she's with me, like her kids at my family's house.
In the chaos, this woman had lost her friend in the panicked crowd.
She has like an orange dress on.
Okay. There's people everywhere, so I haven't seen her.
I'm saying they had her inside of here.
She's not in here right now. There's nobody in here except for police officers right now.
Everything.
I don't know. Do you have any other friends you guys are with?
Like, I ain't even really here right now. This is crazy. It's trying to go out to Evansville.
Investigators, overwhelmed with other priorities, couldn't give her much attention at the time. But soon enough, they would realize she was the key to unlocking the entire puzzle.
Can I stand right here?
Yeah.
Keep on over here.
Do what?
Come back this
Can I
way
just
toward
stand right
me.
here?
You got, yeah, just over there somewhere, sit in the car or whatever.
Mark says my car keys. I can't sit in my car.
Okay, so just hang out across the road till we're done.
Out your
He'll find you.
side window.
Meanwhile, the surveillance video could have solved this case immediately.
Do we know if the camera's working? Because that guy's right through the freaking camera.
All the way through.
You got the
Yeah, it's going straight through the drywall.
okay, but your camera, is it working?
Yeah, it works.
Okay.
But the shift manager didn't have access to the video equipment. They had to wait until another manager reached the bar.
Darn. Sorry, I had to lock everything down.
That's fine.
Is there any way that you can get to it?
Oh, man. Back here, but I don't know how to work it.
This twin?
You have to ask. I don't
This
know.
one ain't like my regular, like, so what somebody shoots here every weekend, but I got to tell you.
I know it's back there, but I don't know how to work it.
While one team focused on the investigation, the other rushed Anthony to the hospital. Despite their best efforts, he was pronounced dead upon arrival.
Oh, it looks like, well, I don't know, it's insulation inside there.
Yeah, it comes out over here. There's two of them.
Yep, that's the exit for this one. So there was somebody over here, if that's from the night.
Car facing here.
Just watch your step here, because we got some showcasing still and stuff.
I was trying to see if you could come up some video, that would be fantastic. Oh, that's okay, thank you.
Just watch right there.
Stakes shot higher as the case turned into a homicide that they needed to solve before anyone else was hurt.
Being card for shots fired, Ravenswood Marshall. There are 5 shots so far. We are getting multiple calls.
The officers downloaded the video and prepared to bring it back to the headquarters to analyze it. But before they could do that, their radios delivered shocking news.
You hear that last? Yeah, I heard. Hey, one of you guys able to break away? We got more shots fired.
A second shooting had just erupted only miles away. Was this a continuation of the first attack? Or was a serial shooter trying to finish his job? They were quickly dispatched to find out.
Go ahead on Carter car.
Are you getting close to just getting done collecting those over there?
Yeah, I got these collected, but I still haven't talked to these people yet. Who was a victim here? Okay.
She was the one that was thrown down.
Okay. Why don't you tell me what happened from the beginning?
We was at Taco Bell,
Okay.
and she said that she had a ride for us.
Okay.
And well, I said, we're going to keep walking. All we had was Wi-Fi and both our phones were
So
fine.
she was already talking to somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so
I don't know if that was necessarily who she was talking to. We were talking to quite a few people, you know.
Okay.
They found shell casings littered the pavement once again, but this time they also found some key witnesses.
Okay, well, anyway, then we stopped over here, like I said, on one of these roads. He said we were going to the trap, and he pulled over right here to let me out. Well, they wouldn't let her out. So I got back in the car. And they pulled over, they went turned here, and they went down this alley here.
Okay.
And it's a pretty good ways down here, I want to say. Pulled over right, like this, behind a garage.
Okay.
And I directly got out and I started walking off. And they grabbed her and they pushed her down and said, you know what it's about. And I turned around and I acted like I was on the phone talking to my friends and walked towards her and they let her go. And so when they let her go, then they started pushing her again. I don't know what else happened because I wasn't there. But I said, walk faster. And so she starts walking faster. They speed off, like kick rocks and everything, and they're going around here looking for us. Then they see us right here walking, and they stop the car right after this house, I'm assuming, because it didn't seem far away. And they all get out, both of them get out the car, you see the car doors, and then you see the trunk pop. And they both get out, and I see each of them had 2 guns.
Okay.
Well, I know
that's why I'm confused, just because of the showcasing were down there.
The night was getting crazier by the minute. This unidentified shooter could have been the suspect who decided to continue killing that night. The investigators were trying to find the identity of this maniac, so they kept asking around.
Did you guys witness anything, or did you just hear it?
No, I was out in the backyard and heard the shot.
I was asleep and my wife came and woke me up.
I heard it down there.
I got my daughter in there and I just want to make sure everything was okay.
All right.
That's why I came out.
So I usually stand out back. I've been out there about
Well, it's been crazy tonight. There was just a shooting at the Legion, and one guy was shot, and we were dealing with that. And this shots fired came out, and I heard like 5 or 6 more shots.
I hope you guys are safe tonight, man.
As of now, the officers collected the shells to bring them back and match with what they'd found at the bar. The police felt they were closer to concluding this strange night because they had something they hadn't before. There was a survivor who'd seen the shooter's face and had arrived at the hospital.
What's going on tonight? You know what happened to you?
Yeah, I know what happened to me. I got shot.
Okay, but what was going on prior to that?
I don't know. I just know some dudes was arguing and that's it.
Okay.
I heard was gunshots and then I felt this bullet coming in my back. Excuse my language. It hurts right now.
I can't imagine. Were you inside or outside?
No, I was outside.
Okay. You didn't see who was shooting or anything like that?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I was just trying to get away from all the arguments, because usually when there's arguments like this happens, so I was just walking away. Then next thing you know, I'm in the middle of the parking lot, and you just heard bow, 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 and then I feel this short. I didn't even feel it at first. Like, I felt something go inside my leg. I didn't feel the pain until like after.
Took a minute. Didn't see anybody with a gun or anything like that?
No, man.
Okay.
The case had just taken a strange turn. The investigators had expected to find closure that night, but afraid for their lives, none of the witnesses had caught the sight of the man. It seemed he'd managed to slip away. However, that was not to be because the headquarters still had the surveillance footage to review. The only hall was scanning through it for a few seconds of action took the entire night of the investigators.
So upon reviewing the video, the detectives were able to see that outside the American Legion, there are people just gathering around, speaking, conversing, coming in and out of the club, just general interaction with each other.
Soon, the footage had the victim, Anthony Blaylock, on the camera with a red baseball cap.
Very important at this point in the investigation to get the person who is responsible for murdering Anthony Blaylock.
The investigation team was expected to find clues to the suspect in the footage, but what they were about to witness was the entire murder that was recorded.
And at this point, the detectives were able to observe on the video that there's a small group by the front door of the American Legion, and they were able to identify the victim, Anthony Blaylock.
And it appears that Anthony Blaylock is in a verbal altercation with an unknown man right against the wall of the American Legion. It seems like this verbal altercation suddenly becomes very physical in the fact that the suspect actually kind of backs away from Blaylock. The suspect just suddenly decides, I'm going to start shooting. And it all happens in very close proximity. So Anthony Blaylock and no one else had any time to really react or even defend themselves. Blaylock immediately hits the ground and everybody scatters.
The murder of Anthony Blaylock was taped. However, ironically, the identity of the killer was still not revealed. He could be seen running away, but none of his face was visible. However, upon carefully reviewing the recordings, they found something that would break open their case. It was not the suspect they recognized, but someone else they'd already met at the crime scene.
Over here, and I was going to take her to the hospital.
Okay.
There was a female in the video wearing a white top that you could see where she is briefly speaking with the shooting suspect. It appears that she brushes the shoulder or kind of touches the shoulder of the suspect just very briefly.
They were confident that this mystery girl could get them to the killer. Hours into analyzing the surveillance footage, the detectives finally had something that wasn't just speculation or a gut feeling. It was a lead.
This was the same woman that approached the officer on the scene asking about where her friend was at.
The mysterious girl, once just another face in the crowd, was no longer just a bystander. The way she moved, the way she lingered just long enough before slipping away, it all seemed suspicious now. And then there was the moment they couldn't ignore, her proximity to the victim, the subtle interaction before the chaos unfolded. Every second of that footage told a story, and she was at the center of it. If they could track her down, she might hold the key to understanding what really happened that night.
But she actually reaches out and touches his arm. More than likely, she has a pretty good idea who he is, or at least a name that we can get started with.
With renewed hope, the investigators set out to track down the mystery girl. They scoured the footage again, this time focusing on her movements and any potential interactions with others in the area. It was a long shot, but they would try anything to solve the case.
We really want to try to find this woman again.
For the first time in the case, they had a direction. Tracking her down wasn't easy, but persistence paid off. A name, an address, and soon she was sitting across from them in the interrogation room, her expression unreadable.
All right, so just what I want to do first is I want to show you a little video here. You recognize where that is?
Where am I looking at?
So this is the American Legion. The door to walk in, like right by that light. And there's no sound with this, so you recognize that guy?
Yeah, that's the guy that shot that dude.
The guy that had that's the victim, and you recognize that girl that just walked on.
Right there, yes, that's me.
A very good tactic in interviews to be able to show them the video so that they realize they've got me on video. So there's really no point in trying to talk my way out of this or lie that I wasn't there or that I didn't know the person.
With nowhere to hide from the footage, she had a choice: stay silent or tell them everything.
So this is like my name is going to be.
Eventually, so you're going to be.
I'm just worried just because I know people know me and I have a baby, like I'm by myself, and it just scares me.
I understand. I mean, number one is it's illegal for someone to intimidate you to not do something, to try and do something that you're legally allowed to do. It's called intimidation, and there's also another, and that's a felony. And there's a law called obstruction of justice, which is trying to get somebody who's a witness in an incident to not testify. That's a felony also. So if you have any problems, I'll make sure you have my card. You can call me, or if it's an emergency, call 911. But, you know, again, you didn't put yourself in this situation. The guys who did that kind of put you there.
Yeah.
And, you know.
It's just about like my life and my son's life.
I understand. So let's just take it step by step. We'll get your statement. And that's kind of easier, there's not much pressure. And then after that, we'll see if it's going to go to trial, and we'll reassess it at that time, okay?
The interrogation continued, growing more intense as the detectives pressed her for answers, watching her every reaction, searching for the truth hidden between her words.
But, you know, my side of it is we got a 32-year-old man with has kids, and he's dead because of somebody that shot him over some. I think that's going to be pretty petty, so.
I don't want it to, like, come back on me, because people nowadays, like, they'll say, like, you're snitching. I don't care if they call me a snitch, because I could have died that night.
Well, this isn't snitching to me.
Yeah,
snitching would be like if I just caught you walking down the street with a smoke sack, and then you flip on a dealer. That has nothing to do with this, but you're just in this. You know? So what I always tell people too, if you want to throw me under the bus, whatever, that's fine. You know, you want to lie down.
I don't care about that. It's just, you see what goes on now. People are really killing each other.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, what you can tell them is just tell them that, you know, they brought you down here, and, you know.
I mean, it is on camera, like, there's no, like.
Yeah, you can just tell them that you had no choice or something like that. Like, you know, whatever you want to tell them to help the situation.
Detectives retraced her steps for the whole night with her, dissecting every moment, every interaction, hoping to uncover the missing link to the killer.
All right, so let's just go over after I review the video. You know, I can also see where you're walking up. You're not up there for a real long time. You're not up there like some of these other people that kind of saw some of this stuff unfolding, but you could just kind of walk me through what you saw and what you observed. You know, what were you going to the club for? And you think about those kinds of things, they might help you remember some stuff a little bit better.
My friend, we met up with her, and they were at the Legion, and I was like, I don't know, I feel uncomfortable. I was like, it just feels weird. It's just something. And then we walked up to the door, and then I saw my friend's mom, and I'm not even old enough to get in there. I was just using the restroom. And I asked them, could I use their bathroom because like there's no place around that has a bathroom, public bathroom. And they were like, yes, but you have to pay $10 to get in. And I was like, well, I'm just using the bathroom. So I was like, if I really have to, I will.
Yeah.
So we go back to my car, and I was like parked like kind of behind the building. And we go back up to the door, and then that's when I heard them arguing. And like, they were like all cluttered together. So I was trying to think, how am I going to walk around them? And then that's whenever I just like felt like it was like a rush just went through me. And then I saw him pull out the gun, and then that's all I remember is like 6 shots. And I like, took off running.
All the detectives needed now was a name, the final key to unlocking the truth.
And
You know him, right?
so, his last name is Bushrod.
At this point, with the last name of Bushrod, detectives were able to find a Darius Bushrod in the system that matched the description from the video they observed, as well as he had a very lengthy criminal record.
The detectives acted quickly as soon as she gave the last name. They placed a picture on the table. Her response was all they needed: confirmation.
Yeah, so where do you recognize him from?
From the Legion.
Okay, all right. So if you would just circle that picture.
The moment she was shown the lineup, there was no uncertainty on her face. Instantly, she recognized it without hesitation.
From the identification, they were able to get an arrest warrant for Darius Bushrod for the murder of Anthony Blaylock.
In the end, her words changed everything. With her testimony and the footage, all eyes turned to Darius Bushrod. Darius Bushrod's life was a ticking time bomb of crime. Robbery, battery, resisting arrest, each offense pushing him closer to the inevitable. His juvenile punishments had not altered him, and as an adult, his crimes expanded to fleeing from custody and driving without a license. Then came August 27, 2017. Outside the American Legion post, surveillance captured the moment. Bushrod, gun in hand, pulling the trigger. No more running, no more escaping.
So at this point, finding Bushrod was quite difficult because we believe that he had fled the area. He was not located for several months. We believe that he ultimately had cut his hair and different things to evade being arrested by the police. Later, detectives did receive a tip that Bushrod was hiding out in Evansville at his girlfriend's house.
After weeks of relentless investigation, the moment had finally arrived. On January 10, 2018, police were ready to close in on their prime suspect, Darius Bushrod. The law enforcement officers had reached one inevitable conclusion based on the results of surveillance footage, witness testimony, and forensic evidence. Now it was time to make the arrest.
I got nothing. I got no movement.
I'm going to clear the house. Anticipation of a search warrant. We're moving upstairs. We're going to need some more people up here. You got someone run to the left? Someone's run to the left.
Block you.
Every step measured, every breath controlled. This was it. The moment weeks of tireless work had led to. There was no room for error.
You know, at this point, any officer, you don't know if he's armed. You don't know if he's going to cooperate. He's proven to be violent. He's committed the act of murder, which is the highest crime that we have.
On the ground! Show me your hands up, shoot, go to the front! Right now!
I think that's him. Hey guys, I think he came out the back.
Keep your hands up, we can see him!
That's him. That's him. Jake, to be clear, we have him in the backyard.
What's your name?
The arrest was swift and tactical. They swooped in, cutting off any chance of escape. The man they believed had shot Anthony Blaylock was now under arrest. The real challenge was just beginning. They needed a confession.
Arriving at headquarters.
All right, step on out. Turn right into here. Right again. All right, Darius, I'm gonna search you again, okay?
Inside the interrogation room, Bushrod sat calmly while his expression betrayed no shock. The detectives had seen this before, and they realized that the pressure was building inside them.
Hello, Bushrod. Thanks for your patience. So now, a little bit. Let me have him take that cup off, please.
The room was thick with tension, but he didn't seem to feel it. With a slow, deliberate stretch, Bushrod flexed his arms and cracked his neck, looking more like a man shaking off a nap than one staring down serious jail time. They laid out the evidence, frame by frame, moment by moment. The footage showed him arguing with Blaylock, leaving, returning with a gun, pulling the trigger. There were no shadows, no speculation, cold, hard facts.
How do you feel? It's been a while that this warrant's been out on you. Well, I mean, I responded that the night at the Legion, okay, and I've been investigating this thing, and you know, I know there's two sides to every story, and you know, I talked to a lot of people that were out there. You get pieces of the story, and basically, I mean, I think your piece of the story is a big one, and I just would like to hear just what your side of the whole situation is.
Bushrod didn't flinch. He didn't argue, didn't explain, just sat there, unfazed, as the damning evidence piled up against him. The detectives waited, but Bushrod gave them nothing. Not a word, not a glance, just silence.
You don't have anything to say? Okie doke.
He'd been here before, and he understood the game too well. Silence was his best defense.
It became very apparent, he's got a lengthy criminal record, and he knows the system very well. He was not going to provide any information whatsoever.
He gave them nothing, but the trial would leave him nowhere to hide. For Blaylock's family, justice was finally within reach.
Even though Darius Bushrod did not give us confession, that's always our hope, is that we'll be able to get a confession. But we had enough evidence between the witnesses, the surveillance video, we were able to prove that he was actually guilty of the murder.
The trial of Darius Bushrod was the final chapter in a case that had gripped the community. The prosecution built its case brick by brick. Witness statements, forensic evidence, and surveillance footage that captured it all. Bushrod and Blaylock are in a heated argument, Bushrod leaving, coming back with a gun. This was a calculated decision, not self-defense. The jury deliberated once more, and the findings were clear. The verdict stands guilty, 75 years behind bars. Forensics later confirmed that the second shooting, although adding to the chaos of that night, was unrelated to Blaylock's murder. The shell casings didn't match Bushrod's weapon. Bushrod, however, hurled an appeal against the conviction. The conviction stood. Justice for Blaylock's family. After years of escaping the long arm of the law, Darius Bushrod's reign of terror was finally over.
I wish I could always explain why people do what they do. In this particular case, it could be something as simple as money. There was a cover charge at the American Legion that night, and Darius may have been short on money, and Anthony wasn't willing to give it to him. It could have been under 100 different things.
The evidence was undeniable. There was surveillance footage, witness testimonies, and forensic proof, all pointing to him as the gunman who took Anthony Blaylock's life.
And at the end of the day, really all we know for sure is that we had two men that were arguing in front of the American Legion. And ultimately, the video shows that Bushrod pulls a handgun and in cold blood fires numerous rounds directly into the body of Anthony Blaylock.
But it wasn't just about one crime. It was catching up with his violent past. No more second chances. No more running.
The thing that everybody will remember about Anthony is his ability to talk to anybody. I think people will remember the way that Anthony made them feel. Because he made you feel great about the moment, even if you couldn't feel good about yourself. In this moment, you were smiling. everything else can be dealt with. I think about him every day now. I think about him all the time. You had some beautiful babies, Anthony. If I could speak to you right now, I would tell you, you have some of the most beautiful children.
On that fateful night, Bushrod pulled the trigger, sealing his fate. Now the law had done the same, ensuring justice for Anthony and peace for those who mourned him.
He had so much ambition. He was so charismatic. He was fun-loving, fun to be around. He was a father. You know, there were so many things that I felt like we all got cheated out of, you know, when I got that call. We're down another strong Black man. We're down another strong Black father. In this day and age, it is heartbreaking to realize that there are kids without a father.
For Anthony's loved ones, the pain would never fade, but justice meant they could finally begin to heal. That's it for today's story. If you found this case unbelievable, like and subscribe for more. What do you think? Was justice truly served? Or is there more to the story? Let us know in the comments. What case should we cover next? Drop your suggestions in the comments. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.